One Percenter Podcast with Sam Bakhtiar, bringing you the 1% knowledge to help you reach your full potential. Learn what it takes to rise above the 99% and become a 1%er.
What's up, everybody? It's Sam Bakhtiar, the host of One Percenter Podcast. I got my main man, Joe, the hustler, Vargas, in the house. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Bro, I know you've been working on some crazy shit behind the scenes. You came here on a flight to LAX, took an Uber here on a 2-hour sleep. I just want to tell you that I thank you.
Yeah,
I applaud you. I appreciate you, because most other people will call me up and say, Sam, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
I ain't fucking coming. I'm 2 hours of sleep.
You know, it's funny, the story I just told you a little bit in the house was 1:30 in the morning. I was like, I'm developing the design with my developers, and I was like, oh fuck, I have
a podcast tomorrow in LA.
Podcast tomorrow, and then I was trying to change the time, and you didn't respond because I think you're already asleep. And so I was like, shit. And then I couldn't find a flight. And then I posted on Instagram and Twitter. I was like, who wants to drive me to LA? Because I couldn't find a flight. And you can't do private at 1:30 in the morning. So luckily I ended up finding a flight in the morning. So.
Bro, that tells me a lot about you and your character. You know, let me tell you something, man. You know, what I've learned in life is that when you say you're going to do something, you fucking come through. Unless you're in a hospital, unless there's a tragedy. And that's how I was raised. These days, people will make appointments and things like that. And most of the time, just, I don't feel like going, I'm not going to go, I'm going to cancel. And just the fact that you come here, you're half incoherent right now. Because you're you're in 2 hours of sleep. I had to give you a protein shake and some caffeine right now to make you up. And no, bro, I that tells me a lot about your character.
Too, so.
You know, that start kicking in. That tells me a lot about your character, about your drive, and why you're so successful. You know, people are successful, they stick to their word. You know, they stick to their word, and their word means something.
Well, well, I don't know how everybody else feels, but we booked this 2 months ago, so it was my fault for waiting last minute and screwing up my flights. But you know, keeping your word, like your word is everything you have in life. Yep. You know what I mean? So. And
I see that common trait with, you know, some of the most successful people, man. But let's talk about your shoes, man. Can we zoom in? Can we zoom in on these shoes, bro? Like, you came in with some, you know, rainbow socks, you know, and some Gucci, you know, that's some badass shoes, bro. I'm a shoe guy.
Thank you.
And you look fly as hell, man. You know, you're rocking it really well.
Thank you.
So let's get down to some of your history real quick, and then I want to talk about, you know, your success habits and what you have done to be so successful. And we'll talk about anything. We're going to be like kind of freestyle this.
Yeah.
So you were born in Vegas, or you were born here in Southern California?
So I was born in Hayward, California.
Hayward, California.
In the Bay Area. Okay. And as a kid, I grew up in the Bay Area, but I moved around a lot. Getting in trouble, or my dad moving around. My mom, she ended up moving to Las Vegas when I was a kid. And I just found myself in a lot of trouble, and so I'd bounce around, and when I hit 6th grade, I ended up moving to Las Vegas with my mom.
Why were you in trouble, you know, before 6th grade? You know, what were you a rebel all the time? Were you just didn't like somebody dictating to you what to do? You know, or, you know, I think I read a part of your bio that, you know, you just thought things were funny.
Yeah, I mean, 3rd grade, I got dared to shit on the bathroom floor at the school. And then one of the guys in the group that dared me ended up telling on me, so I got expelled out of the school in 3rd grade. I did it as a prank and thought it was funny.
That shit is pretty funny though.
I'm an only child, so I try to make sense of a lot of things as a kid, and I think it just came down to boredom. Yeah. And doing dumb shit, and then like a lot of the dumb shit that I used to do was more or less like people daring me to do it, like being kids, right, and being around the wrong people. You know, not being I'm being negatively influenced by the wrong people, and then we all think doing dumb shit is funny, like throwing a board through a church window. Like that was one thing. Then and then it's always the people that I was with that I'm telling on me. Yeah. You know, so I think it was just boredom and being the only child. Like, you know, that's.
You know, I did a lot of that because I was the only child, and now that you say that, I never thought of it that way. You know, I didn't have a brother or sister to be around me and ground me and occupy me. So I didn't know what to do. So I was like destroying shit. You know, doing out there. You know, so in 6th grade you moved to Vegas with your mom. You know, what happened after that? 6th
6th, 7th grade, 8th grade with my mom. And I hit 9th. Then I went to Henderson. So you're familiar with Henderson?
Yeah, I'm out.
I went to high school there, and then my 9th grade, I almost got into a fight with a guy that played on the football team. And it caused such a big commotion within the corridor, and then the bell rung, and everybody wasn't in the school because it was like a buildup of me and him was supposed to fight. And he was the quarterback, and then we almost fought, didn't fight, but caused such a disruption in school. They're like, one of you guys has to leave, and obviously he's a quarterback on the football team, and I'm a nobody, you know, I'm not a part of any club, so I had no one sticking up for me. And so I got kicked out of all the Clark County, and so I had to leave back to California, and that's when I went to school, finished off my 9th grade, and then 10th grade, 11th grade in Modesto.
Modesto, California.
Yeah, and then that was.
And that's where your dad lived?
That's where my dad lived at that time, and then I was only expelled out of the whole city of Las Vegas for 2 years. So
you were expelled out of the whole city?
Yeah, I couldn't go to any school in the city.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So and then my senior year, I went back to Las Vegas and graduated, and then I moved. Once I graduated, I got in some more dumb shit when I was 18 years old.
So tell me about the dumb shit. What was the dumb shit?
Selling weed. I was living in a bad area, and this guy that was in my area got me selling crack for like 2 days. And then once I sold my first rock to some lady, like I was like, my subconscious was like, what the fuck are you doing? And like I just felt disgusting.
Because you saw the lady all fucked up.
Yeah, like I felt disgusting.
I'm making her more fucked up.
Yeah, I felt disgusting. I felt like it was a fucked up feeling.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it didn't feel right.
Like you destroyed somebody's life.
Yeah, and I was like, it literally only took me 2 days. I went back to selling weed because the people I was around made it seem like you sell a lot more money selling that crack cocaine, and then I joined a community college, but I was smoking weed. So then I started like girls, weed. I'll skip a class, but then once you skip a class, you skip more and more.
Yeah.
But then you don't realize that how far back that you fall. You know what I mean? And then I ended up fucking that up. And then I moved back to California to my dad, and he was like, "You got 30 days to get a job, or you're gonna join the military." And so I was like, "Yeah, whatever." So I tried to get a job like at AM, PM, like 7-Eleven, and I thought it was gonna be easy, and it wasn't. And I was back in Modesto at that time. I went back to Modesto after I graduated, and 30 days comes fucking really quick. And then he was like, "All right, which one are you going to?" And I was like, "Shit." So
you were in the Navy, right? You were in the Navy?
Yeah, I was in the Navy. So it's funny because I went to all the branches to talk, like Army, Marines, Navy,
why
Coast
Navy?
Guard.
Yeah, why did you?
Well, because the guy was like, he goes, what interests you? And at that time, I was like, I don't know if I should be saying this, but smoking weed and girls. And he was like, well, we can fix the weed part because they tell you because you have time to get ready, and then they tell you how to cleanse and all that stuff. But he was like, girls, he was like, listen, being in the Navy, you travel the world, you go to Australia, you go to all these great places, guys come back like half dressed when they go out in their uniform because all the girls are like, oh my God, and I was like, oh shit. And so that was pretty much the reason why I joined the Navy, to travel the world.
It's funny. I have a similar story, a little different. When I graduated from high school, before I went to Penn State, I applied at an auto parts store. And I went for a second interview, and the manager said, what are you into? I said, cars, weights, and women.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, you're normal, you can start tomorrow. So you were in the Navy, and how long were you in the Navy?
8 years.
Okay.
But it's funny though, because I joined the Navy for that reason, but I ended up on a ship in San Diego that didn't go anywhere. Oh. So I didn't actually end up going. Like I went to Canada, Seattle, Hawaii, Mazatlan, Mexico, which is probably the best of those, and that was it. We carried an admiral on our ship, so we kind of told everybody else I was in Point Loma, and then you have 32nd Street in San Diego, and we kind of just told everybody else what to do. And anytime we go out to sea, it was like no longer than like 2 weeks, if that. It was like days, like to go out to do some training.
So you really did experience the girls like you wanted to.
I did on like a micro level. I joined the Navy to travel the world, and I went to like a couple rinky-dink places. Yeah. You know, that I could go on my own.
Got it.
You know, at the time.
So you were 8 years, you know, in the Navy, and what was the biggest lesson that you learned from being in the Navy?
I mean, there's no specific lesson. It just helps you grow up faster.
So you said, you know, obviously you have to be, you know, more on time, punctual.
Yeah, more of a regiment, you know.
Because before that, man, you know, I'm just imagining you, you know, in college, smoking weed, you know, skipping classes, probably with some lady friends, going out there doing your thing, and now you're in a structured place where, you know, you got to get up at a certain time and do certain tasks and do something. So, you know, that's what I'm imagining. Is that about right?
100%.
Got it.
I mean, that's all I took out of that. Otherwise, it sucked. So I was on the ship for 5 years, and then the last 3 of my 8 years, I was a training officer in Las Vegas.
Would you say, you know, I'm just trying to connect the dots. Would you say that the discipline and some of the stuff that you learned in Navy would have kind of made you more disciplined in life, therefore made you more successful in some of the things that you've done in your life, or would you say no?
Like meaning that?
I mean, look.
I'm successful because of that?
No, not because the intangibles that you learned, you know, being punctual, getting on time. Because I'm just looking back, I'm trying to connect the dots. You got 2 hours of sleep, you flew here, you came here. You know, I don't imagine somebody smoking weed, skipping classes, you know, and, you know, hanging out with girls all day doing that, right? Yeah. So something along the lines changed and you become more mature and more responsible and said, hey, look, man, you know, I got to stick to my word. You know, I gotta follow through.
I've always been. I think it just. I try to look back on that too when I think about it. Like, I don't know if you do that. Like, go back and try to think about like, oh, maybe that's why, or oh shit, I never thought about that. But my dad, and I didn't realize this until like I'm 41 now. I didn't realize this until like within this past year. I was like, shit. All this time, I forgot that my dad used to be a fucking entrepreneur himself, and he failed. And he would go back to being he would own his own car lot, go back to being a car salesman because the car lot sucked and, you know, it wasn't in a good area and he had to deal with all these issues. But I forgot about all that. And I was like, it has to come from, like.
Subconsciously was in there, right?
It has to be. And then seeing my dad struggle, you know, and like constantly, like, up until recently too, I remember that he used to take me to seminars of guys that are like talking about life and like about business and the circle that we're in now, right?
That was back then.
But that was like in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know,
that wasn't that big back then.
And I was a kid, and I remember being like, this is boring. Kind of like how my son is now, or like when I try to bring him around to this.
How old is your son?
He's 15. Yeah. So yeah, I have. It's not. I'm not a scientist to be able to say like our brain and it's genetics and this and that. Like I don't know if I can credit. You know, it's like part. Yeah. I'm the first self-made millionaire in my family generation ever.
Yeah. So you broke the curse, and I broke the curse.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think it has a lot. I give my dad a lot of credit for his habits and bringing me around, and me possibly watching, you know, and when you're by yourself a lot, you know, and when you're moving around, it's hard to make friends.
Yeah, so
right. So I remember drawing. You know, I used to always draw by myself. I used to always play video games by myself. I used to always play basketball, but I spent a lot of time alone because I moved so much because like my dad, if he didn't make it over here, he had to move over here for jobs and whatever, and but yeah, so I credit a lot to that.
So after Navy, what'd you get into? At this time, how old were you?
So I got out in the Navy in '98, and I got out of the Navy in 2006. But since I was a training officer in Las Vegas for all the naval reservists on the Nellis Air Force Base in Vegas, which is where I spent the last 3 of my 8 years, reservists only work 1 week in a month. So the rest of the month, all of us that are active duty, we really have nothing to do. So you got to find something to do, some hustle to do, right? Well, you just find like activities. I was married at the time, so I can't to this day remember why or how I started this, but I started an entertainment radio show on AM radio in 2005, and I started meeting all the people in the nightlife scene and entertainment industry, and like Men of Sapphire and like all the guys that pretty much like they're in all the shows, and then I started being introduced to this world. I was like, holy shit, this sounds cool, and so the entertainment radio show was about that, and then I started meeting all these people, and then in 2005, I threw a nightclub charity event for Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I brought so many people to the event. It was, do you remember Empire Ballroom?
It used to be called Utopia, right? Utopia Empire Ballroom?
Yeah.
Oh my God, man, I had some late nights there, bro.
Yeah.
Just remember, I was reading on the bio, Empire Ballroom, like, yeah, there's a club, used to be Utopia. They got some old, you went to some old raves back in the day in there, man. So I threw a nightclub charity event on an off night on a Wednesday, packed the place, and that place is big, it's 2-story. And then I also, on top of that, brought a lot of sponsors together that normally wouldn't have worked together or been on a flyer together. And so I was the guy that everybody was like, who the fuck is this guy? Am I allowed to cuss on this? Of course, man. I've been cussing.
All right.
It's a 1% show, but that's what we do.
And so I caught the attention of some guys. I give, Tony Verdugo?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tony Verdugo actually brought me into his little thing that he had at Empire Ballroom with the guy that runs 11 now, 11 in Miami.
Yeah, I've been there too, unfortunately, man. Shout out to 11.
Yeah.
That's like the devil's playground, man. When you have a nightclub and a strip club all at one time, and it's dark out there, and you don't know what time it is. Next thing you know, you're leaving at 6 o'clock in the morning, like, oh shit, the sun is out.
So Gino Lapinto.
Yep.
You know him?
I've heard of him.
Okay, he's a good dude. But he used to run Utopia in the Empire Ballroom, and then so Tony Verdugo and Gino were friends. This story could go on forever, but long story short, Tony gives me an opportunity and says, you brought a lot of people, you have talent, well, let's see what else you can do. And he gave me my first real shot of being a part of a team. And that was 2005, and then 2006 I got out of the Navy, but now I'm indebted in the industry. So now.
Is that when you created your, what's it called, nightclub? KingofNightclubs.com? Is that what you were doing?
KingofNightclubs.com started in 2013, around that time. So the timeline, to go quickly, so 2005 I enter, 2006 I get the Navy, I get out I got out with an honorable discharge, but with anxiety. I got out on medical but honorable discharge for anxiety issues. They wanted to ship me to Japan my last year of the 8 years, and that time I was single, and I have 2 kids with 2 baby mamas. And so I was like, there's no way I'm going to go to Japan and be away from my kids. So and I hate, and I'm just being straight up. So yeah, go ahead.
So you have two children from 2 different women.
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah.
And you were married twice.
I was married twice, yeah.
And you got divorced twice.
Yep.
Tell me about that. I mean, because I've been divorced. I'm not saying that, I'm not throwing, any thing at you, because I've been divorced once. And man, I mean, it's probably some of the hardest thing you go through.
Yeah.
And especially when there's kids involved and all that kind of stuff. Was that part of your anxiety?
No.
Because for me, I can handle everything outside of here. But when I have issues outside of here, then you have issues at home. That kind of wrecks your whole rhythm and all that kind of stuff. So
no, I think that the anxiety came from the Navy.
Okay.
There's a lot of stress. Even though I didn't go out a lot, it's still stressful. Being married and then getting divorced is stressful. That's kind of, I feel like it's part of life, but accumulation of a lot of things, a lot has to do with the Navy.
Got it.
A lot of stress from it.
Got it.
Even though I didn't travel the world and end up in the ocean for 6 months, which those guys, it's not a great life. So it's accumulation of, and then also too, to go back into the nightlife and entertainment industry, a lot of my anxiety came from, a lot more anxiety came from that. Because I struggle when I got out. Military doesn't do shit for you when you get out, right? So I kind of have this fuck the Navy attitude in my back of my mind, because I struggled for like 2-3 years getting out. When I got out with no help whatsoever, right? And no guidance, nothing. It was like, okay, cool, like sign your papers and leave. And at that time, I didn't know anything about the real world, about getting a job.
Yeah.
I didn't know nothing. So I'm, living in weeklies, never was homeless, but, living in, budget suites, not knowing how I was going to pay rent the following week, hustling over the weekend to try to make up for the rent for that following week. License getting suspended because I can't pay traffic tickets because I don't have any money, and I'm too prideful to go to my family ever, because I feel like I kind of exhausted my resources, because they're like, get a job, mm-hmm. And I was like, no, like I'm meant to be an entrepreneur, and I'm gonna, something's gonna happen.
And what they do when you say meant to be an entrepreneur, they probably laughed at you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, stop.
Yeah, they thought I was crazy.
Yeah,
like something was wrong.
Entrepreneur, man, get a job, shut up.
Yeah. What are you doing? You got children. Like I would have to sometimes dismiss weekends if I didn't have money, or if I'm like, there's no way, I have to go out and work. So like there's weekends I had to forfeit to the custody of my kids. But
that felt like shit, right?
Yeah, it was horrible. My kids we're super close.
Yeah.
But they struggled with me. They were in the budget suites with me when I had custody of them.
Been there, brother. Been there. When I got divorced, I lived in a hotel right here, right off of 71. It's called Hotel Chino Hills for 4 months. Mm-hmm. And my kids came with me. And to this day, every time we drive by, I said, "Daddy, you used to live there." I'm like, "Shut up." Erase that from your fucking memory.
I like it. I like the fact that
they saw that, yeah.
And they're a part of it. They remember it. And we talk about it, like, not all the time, but I want them to remember it. Like, that's part of our struggle, and look at us now. Yeah. And
what do they think right now? What does your family think right now? I mean, they saw you literally like exhausted resources and not want to give you shit. And you said, "I want to be an entrepreneur." They're like, mm-hmm. Yeah, right. They saw you, as a troubled kid. You couldn't get a job in 30 days. To now, a multi-millionaire that is just crushing it. Mm. What do they say now?
They're proud of me.
They're proud of you.
Yeah, for sure.
Got it.
Well, they're even more proud. Like, I retired my mom after 30 years of working at a casino, and she runs all my CBD dispensaries. My dad just kind of chills and kicks back because he has a bad back, so he's retired. But I think my dad's shocked, and he's proud of me. I mean, he's not as vocal as I'd like him to be about it, but
usually men are a little quieter.
Yeah, for sure. I know, but yeah, man. So the anxiety came a lot to do with, struggling to figure life out. And then once things started do you remember Privé nightclub?
Yes.
At Planet Hollywood?
Yes, yeah.
I was a manager there.
Okay. There was another one right next to it too, right? There was two, I think. But I remember that. Yep.
That opened in 2009, and that was with Opium Group in Miami.
Yep.
They ended up opening that, and I was a manager there. But things slowly getting better in life then, and then I came out with that kingofnightclubs.com, and I was kind of like the people's champ, because King of Night, and that's where a lot of stress came from and anxiety came from, because I was, believe it or not, there is nobody in Las Vegas, and there was nobody in Las Vegas in the entertainment industry and nightlife industry everybody was kissing each other's ass and playing politics, right? Getting contracts, working at the nightclubs, all being friends, big camaraderie. And I was like, fuck all those people. Like, they're all full of shit. They're all fake. And so my angle to the industry was like, I started kingofnightclubs.com, and it got so popular because I was basically exposing a lot of things that because I was so bitter towards the industry, because I wasn't a political guy, and I lost contracts because people anonymously ruined them, and so
King of Nightclubs was a service where people can hire you for you to be able to give them the best service of where they want to go, whether it be nightclubs, restaurants. It's like a concierge service.
No, at the time I owned instavegas.com, and that was my concierge business.
Okay.
Kingofnightclubs.com was a blog, and I became a publicist because I had my foot in the door, and I was working with a lot of people over the years. So I had access to information that like, so Robin Leach, he's passed away now, but me and him became close because all the local media in Las Vegas handles like grand openings, birthday parties, you know, the magician at this casino, like the shows. And so I was like the nightlife guy, and like I was breaking stories. I was like, I just became a journalist overnight just because I just was breaking stories, telling the story like more so than anybody else was willing to do. And that's, you know,
you're documenting your real life experiences in these nightclubs.
Not just my experiences, but I was being a journalist. And I was like, you know, this nightclub shut down, this is why. And this is who was stealing money, and I didn't give a fuck. So, mind you, doing that, you know, and everybody was like championing me. That wasn't the people that was getting exposed, but I was exposing people. Yeah. And I was exposing like what was actually happening and why it shut down. And when you do that with people that feel that they're powerful because they run a nightclub, you know, it doesn't sit well. No. So I was dealing with like a lot of anonymous attacks. A lot. I got to wake up in the morning, like I have to go search my social media to find out like what happened when I was sleeping as far as like being attacked and fucking whatever the case may have been, so I can block them. Like it, so that built up a lot of anxiety.
Whenever you expose the truth, man, you have to be ready for lashbacks, man. Because a lot of people are just running around life, you know, telling half the truth or just portraying something, you know, that they're not, or and all that kind of stuff. And
nobody was doing this. Like no one was like, this guy's stealing, and me saying the name, and then he's like, dude, take my name off that article, whatever. And I'm like, no, but you can add it. You can add your side to the story if you want. I'm not taking it down though. But then like there's so much other stuff, like, you know, the Cosmopolitans supposedly being sold to James Packer, the Australian, I think he's a billionaire. Yeah. You know, and I would start rumors, and because I heard that he was at the Cosmo, people would like tip me all the time, and I would like also start rumors as well. So like the Cosmo PR had to go to local news. They had a segment on me to talk about how like my rumor wasn't true because it had a lot of people at the Cosmo scared, and I don't know why. But
all the employees are like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna have a job. Somebody else is buying it.
Yeah, no, there you go. Yeah, that's what it was. And they were trying to make sense of like construction's going on, so maybe that's what it's for.
People get scared.
It was a frenzy.
It's like a ricochet.
Yeah, yeah.
When you're that powerful that you can spread a rumor, you know, and all of a sudden it goes viral. Yeah. You know, you're pretty powerful and you're pretty well known.
Yeah. So that, I think the most of my anxiety comes from that. And I think that's why my hatred towards that industry and the people that are in that industry are so deep because
of that. So what do you do for your anxiety? Like, what are some remedies? You know. So what do you do? You meditate? You know, do you work out? Is there? I mean, obviously, I know CBD helps a lot with that. With just calming your nerves and putting you in the right state and all that kind of stuff. But what do you do? To combat anxiety? Because I know a lot of people in this day and age have it, especially in this day and age where you got to get up, you got to go to work, you got to fight traffic, you have school, you have husband, wife, you have all these responsibilities and social media coming at you and everything like that. You're overloaded and anxiety is prevalent. What do you do?
I smoke CBD. I take CBD products. If my anxiety builds up really bad, I just take a break and go on vacation.
Got it.
Or if I leave Vegas, or I go to California for a couple of days and like just being away. It sucks, man, because my anxiety it's real bad. Like I don't want people to talk to me, like my staff, and then they get offended. Like that's like a big thing. Cause I'm like during the day, I moved my office from my factory to my house because I was like, dude, when I'm at the factory, for some reason, all the work that gets done until I get there. They're like, Joe. I'm like, what were you guys doing when I wasn't here? Like, why are you bothering me now? And they're like, because I was there. And maybe you can relate to that.
Well, yeah, I think, and sometimes, you just go to your business and then actually slow it down. Yeah. You ever notice that? Mm-hmm. You're like, wait a second, I'm fucking up my own business. Maybe I should keep my ass at home. Yeah. They do better with me when I'm not there. So
right.
I've noticed that a couple of times. I'm like, wow, damn, man, Sam, you're fucking your own shit up.
Yeah. So like I try to pay attention to my anxiety. Like being around people all the time. And plus, I'm an empath, so like we absorb energy we don't want. Yeah. You know, it's not the greatest things because I'm in a room and I'm observing a room because of like certain energy, like this, and it's something that you can't really control.
But aren't we all like that? Aren't we all kind of absorb energy?
No, I don't think not
it's
everybody.
Like, you know, I'm going to a room, somebody has high energy, good vibe, you kind of feed off of them. We go somewhere else like.
Well, yeah, but when it starts breaking you down emotionally,
got
it's
it.
the part of the empath part.
It just gets to you in a deeper level. Than most people.
Like so the anxiety, I just try to always like maintain it by like
kind of control it, right?
Controlling it.
You can't get rid of it. You got to control it.
No, yeah, you can't get rid of it, so you just control it. But it sucks though because it affects my relationship with my girlfriend. At times, it affects my relationship with my mom at times because my mom works for me. So like, mom is not mom at work. You know what I mean? So like, if I'm having a high anxiety and like something as like small, like I don't like the way she said something to me, I'll snap.
Would you be able to kind of once you sense that, kind of remove yourself and to say, you know what, I need to kind of just leave.
Well,
and then, because you know it when it's coming, right? And all of a sudden, you know what, I gotta go the other way.
Yes, and that's I'm glad you brought that up, but because that is a thing that I do, but not until recently. My mom, my girlfriend, all the people around me never knew like how bad my anxiety got even though I told them all these years like how bad it gets. Yep. And so whenever I would leave, they would call me and like I'm like, can you guys leave me alone? And they're not like now they think I'm just being a dick.
Yeah.
And I'm being mean to them and I'm like I want to be left alone. They're like, what? I don't understand. And up until like literally recently, like within the past 30 days. Because it started getting like really bad, and behind the scenes too. And I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care about talking about this because people should hear this.
Would you say no? People need to hear it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there are a lot of people who are suffering from these things, mm-hmm. and it's not, you coming here sharing that with us. Mm-hmm. It's so awesome, and you're so. It's awesome that you're making yourself vulnerable. Because most people at your level will come in here and says, "Man, I'm the man. I make millions of dollars. I don't have any fucking problems. Life is good." And you just came over here, real as a motherfucker, and say, "Dude, hey, I did this. this. You're a real dude, and I appreciate that." And a lot of listeners need to listen to that because so many people, deal with anxiety and suffer from anxiety, and they deal with it so many different ways. And obviously, this is a testament that somebody with, as much anxiety as you had can be successful, can be able to control the anxiety to the best of their ability. You're not perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not perfect. And you still were able to channel that and go out there and make a killing and be successful.
Yeah. No, it's not easy. I mean, I feel like we're talking about a lot of the negatives, like, me getting in trouble and like anxiety, like.
Well, the positive is coming. We haven't got the CBD or that right
yeah,
now.
No.
The positive is coming, man.
No, but the fact that you brought that up as far as like the success side, it's like I'm more conscious about like I try to be more conscious about how like I respond to people in business and in general in life because like I possibly could be having like I don't get anxiety attacks. It's just like a feeling of like the walls are coming in and I don't want to be fucked with and I don't want to be touched or talked to, and it's like, and then people don't never understand it. There's like, oh, he's being a dick, like leave him alone. And my girlfriend started understanding a little bit a while ago, and she was like, she tells staff sometimes like, just give him a moment, he's busy. She doesn't talk about my business, but yeah, like dealing with the successes and the highs and all the great things that are happening, it's like in the back of your mind you're always like still trying to control it.
It's cool because we see you on Instagram. You see that you have an amazing life, which you do. I mean, you have a mansion in Vegas and you have all the toys and all the luxuries and all that kind of stuff. From the outside, people look at that and like, what the fuck is he, anxious about?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
what the fuck is the anxious? You know, I fucking should be anxious because I'm making minimum wage. I'm fucking barely fucking making it.
They say that too.
Yeah,
These
I'm sure they do. Yeah, I'm
followers
sure.
and
Yeah.
fans or
They don't
non-fans
understand-
or whatever.
They don't understand anxiety is a disease.
Yeah.
You know, anxiety is something, you know, within you. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you're a millionaire. It doesn't matter if you're fucking broke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's a real thing, and you know, and it's something that you have to, you know, be transparent enough to admit it, and be able to know that here's how I'm going to deal with it. Here's how I'm going to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I feel like the people that would come in here and talk about how life is great and nothing's wrong and they have no ailments and
that's those motherfuckers that later on like end up shooting motherfuckers.
That's what I'm saying. Like
7-Eleven.
It's like, and I've always been this way. I mean, it's like this is my truth, and a lot of people respect it and relate to it. So it's like when you come in here, whether here or anywhere, like being fake, they're like the most empty and depressed people inside, pretending to be something that they're not. Like
that's one thing. You know, I straight on my website, on my fucking video, I said, look, man, I've been bankrupt, I've been divorced, I've been arrested. You know, my house has been foreclosed. Hey, shit, you know, I've done steroids in the past. Yeah, I went out and raised in Utopia. I fucking bought a couple of Mollies back in the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is what it is, man. I don't give a fuck if you like me, not fuck me, but I am here today. I'm a changed man. I'm a family man. You know, I don't do drugs. I don't fucking do anything. I fucking work. And I come home with my family, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, they're trying to hide it. Oh, man, no, don't tell people I did this, or don't tell people I did that. And this, man, come on, man. If you can't just be yourself, nobody here is perfect. Nobody's here. We all have done shit that we're not proud of.
Well, a lot of people are afraid to admit that because a lot of my friends say that because people use it against them. But what are you going to use against me? Like, that I have anxiety issues? Like,
bro. Here's what I always say. You know, I love that. You know, the 8 Mile movie. Mm-hmm. You know, by Eminem. But when he went there, he was supposed to rap, and they knew all kinds of shit about him. Like, hey, I'm gonna say who I am.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about what other shit that you fucking hiding.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's who I am, and I think in life, you know, that was my greatest lesson from that movie.
Mine
it's
too,
like be transparent, man. Be transparent. It is what it is. I know my faults. I'm telling you my faults. I know what I've done. I know all the fuck ups that I did. But that doesn't define me. I'm gonna move forward. I'm gonna keep getting better.
Right.
And if you want to define me, your opinion doesn't pay my bills.
I say this to myself all the time. I'm like, what are people gonna say about me? I don't owe people money. There's nothing they don't know that I haven't told them. Like, what are they gonna say, that I'm fucking annoying, or there's not really much there's nothing really nobody can say unless it's like petty and not really, there's no credibility behind it.
The only thing I will not admit to, but I will admit here one time, I will just admit on the thing. I was at a club one time and I looked at this girl, I'm like, damn, that girl's fine, and it was a man. I was like, I looked at her, I was like, damn, but I will not admit that anywhere else just because we're being truthful here.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, damn, that girl got some nice legs. Oh, damn. I was like, she turned around, I was like, fuck, I fucked up.
You were in the club though?
Yeah, it was in the club. It was a club here called, what is that, After Hour Club in LA. You know, some after hour, LA club was dark and everything. And but you know, I come find out if the girl has really, really nice legs, you gotta watch out.
Yeah.
You gotta really watch out, man.
Right.
So that was my lesson. Here's something I shared with you that I would normally share. I fucked up. I misjudged it. I said damn to a man. God damn it.
He had a nice ass. Did he have a nice ass?
No, I didn't even look. I was
Don't lie.
legs,
See,
man.
now you're lying. He had nice legs.
I'm a leg man.
Okay.
So tell me, about CBDoil.com. God damn, what an awesome domain name. Tell me about your business right now. Obviously, your business. You have like 8 dispensaries right now. From what I understand.
No, I have 3 open CBD dispensaries, and I'm building out 4, so I'll have 7 by the end of the year.
Okay. So we have 7.
Two opening right now. That's being built out. Probably number 4 will be open in September. Number 5 will be open in October.
And these are all in Vegas area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me how you got into that business. Why you got in that business?
So that's a good question because it goes back to my timeline. So you figure 2009, I told you about Privé.
Yeah.
2012, 2013, I started kingandnightclubs.com. And then I gained a lot of notoriety and attention from that. Like I had articles like 13 signs she might be an escort was read 17 million times around the world.
13 signs you might be an escort?
She might be an escort.
Oh, dude, I can tell from a mile away in Vegas.
Yeah. There was like basic shit, but like everybody thought it was
That's
like.
That's a good article right there, though.
But everybody thought it was like the best thing ever.
You always look at her, I'm like, oh man, she ain't with him because she's with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when I had that site, I was also doing articles as well.
That's awesome.
Besides doing journalism with myself and then working with Robin Leach. So I ended up throwing a 3-day $1 million party for a hedge fund group, and I made a bunch of money from that. And then Robin Leach ended up putting out an article for Pacquiao and Mayweather last fight. Mm-hmm. So the way that those tickets were being sold, you didn't actually get hard tickets until the day of the fight. So there's a lot of people out there in the world scamming people, saying that they had access to tickets, sell the tickets, but it was either selling air. Yeah. They're selling on empty promise, and then they would disappear. But it was bad because there was no actual physical tickets. So Robin, he was, I don't know if you knew this, but he was part of the media in Las Vegas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he worked for the Las Vegas Sun, which is our local newspaper. Yeah. So he put out an article. Basically, I was a poster child for the person to go get legitimate tickets. So I sold $3 million in tickets for the Mayweather and Pacquiao fight, and a lot had to do with like him talking about this article of scams and saying, but if you really like want to work with someone, work with this guy. And everybody from the UK, like the whole world, like, you know, he had a pretty good reach. So
that was a big fight, man.
Yeah,
but what a fucking boring fight, though, man. I thought, after waiting 10 years for that fight, man, I wanted some more action.
Yeah. And the lowest amount of the lowest cost ticket was like $7,000, $8,000, $9,000.
I believe it.
And that was for like bleacher.
Yeah, bleacher. Yeah.
Front row was like $80,000, $90,000, $120,000, depending on where in the front row. But so with those two moments that happened with money, so then I ended up, and also once those two moments happened in my life, things started clicking, and then I bought a party bus with some of the money. And then so I ran the party bus, and this guy in Newport Beach was introduced to me through a mutual friend, and he was like, I want to be part of Joe Vargas in Las Vegas. Like, how do I do that? And I was like, the only thing I got for you is you can buy out half of my party bus, and we can make money together. And I ran the party bus for 3 months, and I hated it, and because I had the type of drivers that I had to deal with, I just didn't like it. And so I ended up, long story short, I sold my half of the party bus to him. And this is in 2014 now, and he was like, we did the deal. He's bought my half of the party bus, but he was like, bring it to Newport Beach. I'll use it for events. And he was like, I got something to show you when you come out here. So then I got it driven out there, and met with him, and that was December 2014 / January 2015, and he introduced me to a CBD product, and that's when I got introduced to CBD. And then so like I started learning about it through him, and he wanted me to work with him, and I tried, but I wanted equity in the company, and because I was like, I'm not your employee, like I just got being your business partner, I'm not your employee. Yeah. And then coming to find out, he didn't actually own the product, he was licensing it out through a lab, and mind you, back then, dude, it's so fucking, the CBD industry was so new. Yeah. Like January 2015, like Charlotte's Web was on CNN that everybody talked about, but there wasn't really nobody else. And so he didn't want to give me equity. I pushed myself away from him, but then I was like, CBD. And then at the time, marijuana was getting big. The dispensaries are opening. And I was like, you know what? Not everybody's going to want to get high or can get high. And I was like, CBD is an opportunity for people to medicate without being stoned, and there's a market for that. There's a niche for that. So, and at that time, I kept going to court for updates, like every 6 months with my daughter's mom, and they would always ask, like, "What are you up to now? What are you up to now?" Because I was always in the news, and they kind of like public figure at that point. And then they were like,
"More money."
What do you? Yeah, no, they were like monitoring to see if they could get more. It was more or less. I won't talk on the camera too much about it, but for my kids' sake, but monitoring to see how much money I'm making, if it stays the same, or you know, so, and then making sure I'm staying out of trouble, whatever. And so CBD was legal, and it wasn't the marijuana, and it wasn't something that my daughter's mom could mess with me about, and that had a weighing. I mean, luckily that weighed a factor because of where I'm at today. But did 6 months of research, started a Cloud9 syrup, which is a CBD syrup, in my dad's kitchen, and I officially started my company in June 2015, and then kind of took off from there. And then today, you know, now we're 3 open CBD dispensaries, 7 by the end of the year, getting ready to go public, you know, and then.
And are you planning on having these dispensaries all over the country now?
Once we go, that's the play for the public part.
Public part, yeah.
So I want, you know, we easily dominate the market in Las Vegas. There's some small like boutiques that have opened up for CBD only, but we were the first in Nevada to come out with the concept. So that's definitely helped out a lot. And then
now you have CBDs, you sell them in all kinds of shapes and forms.
Yeah, so I started out with Cloud9 syrup, and then now we have CBD flower, we have bath bombs, we have chapstick, pet drops, syringes, not with needles, but like it's cut off the hole, you know, for deep concentration. Gummy bears, I mean, we have tons of stuff. But and then, so the brand Buy Legal Meds, which is the name of the CBD dispensaries, we also do a lot of high volume e-commerce as well on buylegalmeds.com. And
now, is there any regulation from the federal government? Is there anything, any states that disallow it, or is any gray area with CBD or anything like that? Because I know some states, like with marijuana, there's a gray area, it's legal or not legal, whatever. You know, I know in California, you know, the state was legal, but federal said it was illegal, and there was all kinds of different issues, and there's always these gray areas and all that. Is there anything like that with CBD?
No, there used to be. Banking wouldn't allow it, merchant accounts wouldn't allow it.
And now they do?
Yeah, now they do. I mean, like, we have CBD banking now. I mean, I've been shut down and bank accounts froze by Bank of America and Wells Fargo because they found out that I was lying about what I was actually selling. But that's just what everybody in the industry had to do. Like, we were selling vapes, we were selling a nutraceutical, but then when we get whatever information you need to get to plug in your merchant account, and then we put it inside of our CBD store. And then you limit your chargebacks and you monitor it, and like you got to baby it. Yeah. And I'm sure you probably can relate to. I'm not saying to relate to it, and you've done it before.
No, but the supplement industry is the same.
Like you're, nutraceutical.
I mean, supplement industry is kind of the same. Maybe not as bad, but supplement industry is very regulated as well. You know what you sell them and all that kind of stuff. It's because there's so many people who have ripped people off and you know not legitimately have done that.
Certain states still like frown upon it, but I mean, Donald Trump, fuck Trump, by the way. The only good thing that he's done is sign the 2018 Farm Bill that pretty much allows, for the hemp industry to grow and to be legal and federal legal. But the actual law hasn't kicked in yet. It's being like whatever it is, the laws. Once it gets signed, it got signed in December. And like the legislation, like I don't know the process, but that's going through right now. So, and that's why you see like, that's the reason for CBD being like in CVS and Walgreens and Kroger's and all that stuff. Yeah, because of that.
Yeah, because they don't want to take any risks. So if it's in there, so it's pretty much, it's pretty safe. So you achieved, you went from, basically being a troubled kid, broke all your life, couldn't get a job, to Navy, coming out, then you got into, the kind of nightlife industry and to, publications and, and all that kind of stuff to where you are right now. You survived 2 divorces, which I mean, survive is, that's a big survival thing, you know what I mean? I'm still having flashbacks of what you just said, going to court, every week or every month, man, because I still do that.
That's real. Well. That's just what it was.
Yeah, I still do that. To who you are right now, what is next for you? What drives you? What makes you want to push for more? What is your why? What gets you up in the morning? What do you want to do next with your life? What is the next step?
I'm addicted to the process. right? Like a real entrepreneur I mean, I wouldn't say only successful entrepreneurs, but like an actual entrepreneur that I relate to more of the successful ones, except for the guys. I don't think the guys that are not successful and I don't think they understand. I feel like if you, I don't know if it's just something that you teach yourself. Maybe you relate to that. Is it something you teach yourself? It's just like a good feeling. Like you start to understand like why you're doing it, and then you like it clicks one day, and you're like, "Fuck, I don't ever want to retire." Like
we talked about it off camera when we were in the kitchen a little bit. We both talked about our material stuff.
Yeah. And
how it doesn't mean what it used to mean to us.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
I want to get rid of cars, and I'm like, I don't even use half my house. I mean, Dan Fleischman doesn't even have a car. Like, he does Ubers. I'm like, that, dude.
That makes sense, right?
It does make sense now.
When you look at him, I'm like, it's funny because, when I was up and coming, for me, I wanted to let people know that I arrived.
Yeah.
And
that's how I feel like I had something to prove too.
Yeah, and that's for me, it was because I didn't have a dad. We grew up poor, and we went to other people's homes, and they had these nice homes and nice cars, and and they had everything, and we were struggling, and we weren't have that. So I always wanted to make sure, hey, I'm going to be like them one day. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm here, I'm like, this is such a waste. Why do I have 70 sports jacket when I'm just like, I'm in flip flops and my Chucks or something like that, all day. Why do I have 9 cars where I fucking don't even remember which one's registration is up or which one needs a fucking oil change. Yeah. My crew know I've run out of gas. Because I don't know which one has gas. I fucking get in there. Oh shit, I'm over. I run out of gas. It becomes kind of like overbearing. As the older and wiser you get, I think I realized that the ultimate form of sophistication is simplification. Do you relate to that?
Yeah, 100%. I used to think like, why the fuck does Bill Gates wear some basic ass shit
all the time?
Mark Zuckerberg wears like the same shit all the time and like basic stuff. Like that's because there's so much shit going on in our lives.
You get it. Now you get it.
Stressful to fucking, what are you gonna wear?
Yeah, what last thing you want to do is get up and look at 100 pairs of shoes and 100 pairs of fucking socks and 100 pairs of pants and which one the fuck goes with each other.
Yeah, it causes, it causes unnecessary stress.
Yeah, too many decisions.
Just simplifying your life.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm with you, man. But it's funny because we had to get there to say, okay, now I want to do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a goal that you had to achieve. And they say, okay, I achieved it. I got here. But now that I got here, it's not everything.
But you also realize, too, nothing changes.
No.
Like, nothing, like, magical happens.
No.
Like, people don't... I feel like people... I wouldn't say respect more when we didn't have these things, but... you just realize like it doesn't change much. Like the perception of other people, the way they treat you, like who's gonna fuck with you, like on a business level, and like be friends with you doesn't change. Like the fact that you're, like I was telling you in the kitchen, in the house, like when we travel, I think it's more attractive to other successful people watching someone else travel and to exotic places and doing cool shit, hanging out with their family more so than driving a Lamborghini every day.
Well, bro, I mean, traveling is a lifetime memory.
Yeah.
This Ferrari 5 years from now.
And it's expensive.
Yeah, and this Ferrari 5 years from now, it's old news.
Yeah.
It's cool now.
Yeah,
5 years from now, that's fucking, you ain't got the new one.
Yeah.
So material things is always the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Right.
If you're not happy with $1,000, you're not going to be happy with $1 million. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So the happiness that has to come within you and all that, that's something that you have to, I realized when I got to it, and brother, I just don't know how much this means to me, that with 2 hours of sleep, and everything that you have going on right now in your life, I know you're launching a bunch of new cool stuff.
Yeah.
That you come here. Speaking of you launching stuff, let's talk about that, man. What are your next business endeavors? What are you coming up with next? What should we look out for? For people who don't know you, maybe they're living under a rock somewhere because you're let's face it, you're Instagram famous. I mean, I love watching your stuff, man. You're definitely, your whole swag and your whole persona is a whole new level. I love it.
I appreciate it.
I'm a big fan of yours and stuff like that. how can they find out more about what you have going on next? What you have going on right now, and how can they get a hold of you?
So it's at Hustler on Instagram.
At Hustler, Hustler, Hustler. Remember that? Remember that Ice T?
Yeah.
Back in the day, Hustler, Hustler. You guys don't know that. You guys in the background. You all too young. Ice T was a rapper in the '80s. You guys weren't born then, but.
Yeah. So like, as far as the future for me, like, this is definitely this is my third career, my last career. I don't think I ever want to retire. I end up wanting to take a break once I sell my companies, but we just purchased CBDoil.com for $500,000.
$500,000 for a domain name.
Well, $500,240, and it sucks because it was a missed opportunity. Because think about the number. Why didn't I tell the guy, like, let's make it 500,420 and not 240, 420?
Yep.
But yeah, so we're building that out. That launches September 4th.
September 4th, just a couple of weeks from now. Not even a couple of weeks, but a week from now.
1 week.
And you're here a week before your big launch, bro.
I texted you last night, and I was like, dude, I'm on a massive time crunch, and I don't know if I can make it. And you're like, and you didn't. It was late at
night.
Bro,
I get up at 3, so I get up at 3, and I go to bed at 9.
Yeah.
So I'm an old man, dude. I can't even get those hours no more.
Yeah.
I go to the club, and now I used to be the guy who partied, and now I'm a counselor at the club.
Okay.
So when I see people when I see these young bucks with me at the club, I just feel like, hey man, look, back in the day I used to mix those two. I wouldn't do that right now, bro. You mixing those two will not come out good tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm like an advisor to how they should mix things and how they should do things.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, man, you guys are good. I'm off the bed.
Yeah. So CBDoil.com is. I try not to hype myself up because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver myself. But CBDoil.com will definitely be bigger than what I have going on now with Bilegal Meds for the past 4 years.
I have no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. It's like the Amazon. It'll be the Amazon of CBD. Will it be as big as Amazon? Probably not, because it's only one category.
Yeah.
Amazon's everything.
But it'll be the Amazon of that category.
Right. So the concept of it is that, building up CBDoil.com, getting it to as big as it can get, and then going public with Bilegal Meds, and launching more CBD dispensaries in Vegas and taking it nationwide, and then eventually sell someday. And then, CBDoil.com and probably eventually sell someday. And
everything's for sale. I learned in life, everything's for sale. It's just the right time and the right, and the right deal.
I tell my mom and my family, like, 'cause my daughter's my operations manager, my son wants to graduate and move to Vegas and come help me run the company. But I tell my mom, I'm like, I don't want us to be doing this all like forever. You're 50 something now. I don't want you working the hours that you work for the rest of your life. Like, I don't want to be doing this the rest of my life. I don't want to.
Wait a second. What do you mean your mom is 50 something? You're 41. She better be 50 something.
She had me when she was 16.
She did?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm good at math, bro. I'm always looking at numbers and stuff like that. I'm like, 50. I'm like, she has to be at least 16. Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So eventually, sell, and then for me, I don't. Everybody's always like, I want to retire and just travel. Like, that doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah.
Like, there's no process.
You always gotta do something.
I gotta do something.
Yeah, I hear you.
I need a process of something.
If you think anxiety is bad, I bet your anxiety goes through the roof when you ain't doing shit.
I mean,
unless it's planned time takeoff.
I think like a good year of just letting go everything and then just traveling, and that's all your life is about for the year. But I think after maybe even.
Fuck, man, I don't know if I can last a year, man. I would be like, I need to do something I was
in Maui a couple months ago, and I was there for 2 weeks, and I was like, dude, I need to get back.
Yeah.
That was 2 weeks.
Yeah. A year, man. I mean.
Back to the grind and the process of But I think your audience and other people should hear that, being addicted to the process. There's got to be a cap to where it's like you can't forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For me, it's always set some benchmarkers that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
When you achieve those benchmarkers, whatever those benchmarkers are, right? And then take a planned benchmarker time off. And when you do it, and then come back. As long as there's not some strategy behind it, some kind of thought put into it. I know exactly what you mean. You can't be 75 years old, addicted to the fucking process. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? At some time, man, chill the fuck out, hang out with your fucking grandchildren. You know what I mean? You know, so, you know what I'm saying?
The problem too, though, is people that don't control it, is you end up doing too much.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Bilingual meds is going really smooth. It's passive income for me now. I don't have to ever be there. I don't do nothing. My family runs it. You know, I'm always business developing and growing, you know, ideas, and I want to start a podcast myself. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you don't want to do too much.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Well, brother, man, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for
And in the future, man, if there's anything that I can do for you and my team can do for you personally, you know, don't hesitate to reach out. But we have one thing to settle.
Okay.
Here's what we have to settle. You and Kevin, right? He won one game at the pool.
Yeah.
You won one game at the pool.
Yeah.
So it's a tiebreaker right now, man. Right after this, we got to go see who's going to win the whole thing. Appreciate you coming down, brother. Thank you.